Hello, Aquarius. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. Wow, there are so many messages that have been coming through actually the past couple of days for you that I can't wait to share them and hopefully give you what you need to make the most out of the month of August. This is for Sun, Rising, and Moon, as I typed out in chat just a moment ago. You can also watch for Venus or for someone in your life if you happen to know their signs as well. Otherwise, just stick with your birth sign and you'll get all the information that you need. I'm going to put this little resplendent creature down so we can get started. So great to see so many people here already. It's a very busy room today. So I think that is represented also by all of the messages that are in front of me, which I'll be going through here in just a moment. A couple of quick notes in case you're brand new. I'd like to give you just a proper introduction and let you know what we're about to do today. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and every month I like to show up and try to empower you. That's really what this reading is about. And I show up a little bit before the month so that you can make some decisions and hopefully adjust to some of the opportunities that we'll be looking at. I already told you it can be used for Sun, Rising, and Moon. The 4 parts of this reading are as follows. I like to start with channeled messages. And the way that I achieve channeled messages has kind of evolved over time. It's a combination now of both messages that I receive in dreams the night before the reading and also messages that come through as I get everything put onto paper right before I get started. So I was starting right around the start of the hour today because of all these messages. There was a lot to record. Once we do this, then I'll move along to the deck that I've selected and we'll go into a regular Celtic Cross, looking at all the highlights, any of the challenges, and all the little opportunities in between. And I let that kind of take on whatever energy it needs to. And then I focus specifically on areas of health, wealth, love, and destiny in the expanded forecast. That way, I'm not focusing solely on one of those in any given point. After that, we'll do a quick review over everything that we talked about. And then I like to go into something I call the soul path. And that's just as you would assume. It's going to go a lot deeper than just this month. It's going to pick on some of the themes that we might have found that were most worthy of focusing on, and then help you kind of tie that through the rest of the year and get you on the right path and the right velocity. And then we'll meditate and pull it all together in a nice way. So I think you'll like it. There's a lot here. It's a general, but a lot of times it feels very, very specific. There's a lot of very specific messages coming through in the channel. So I hope that you enjoy that. Big welcome to everybody from around the world. Special thanks to Ryan and Maria. They're my moderators. They do a great job of answering questions and keeping this place organized while I'm doing what I do. So thanks to them. Please be kind to them as well. One thing I'd like to talk about before I get started is how I use Super Chat. First of all, you're more than welcome to show your support by clicking on this little icon and sending a sticker or some positive messages my way. I don't, however, answer Q&A or pick a card type things here because it takes me out of my own channel and it distracts me a little bit. So anybody that does something like that, thank you so much. When this reading is done and it's on replay, I usually reply to my pinned comment and I will thank you there. All right. And by the way, that goes into helping me buy all the decks and everything. So thank you so much. Let's get started. There's a lot to talk about. There's some high-level themes that I noticed, even though we have specific messages. There's a lot here today about communications, boundaries, and like personal care, rest in particular. But let me break it down sort of message by message, and we'll get some more insight into that. So the first piece that I was seeing was this. It's almost like you were cast as a superhero trying to do everything. But one of the sort of failures that happens whenever you try to like hold up the weight of the world or manage everything in your life without any assistance is sometimes it just feels like you're exhausted and you're kind of setting yourself up for something that's not sustainable, not satisfactory or satisfying for yourself. And ultimately, it just ends up kind of depleting energy. So the first message that I received was to delegate and to prioritize. This is going to be an essential way that you can make sure that you're not overdoing it, that you're putting in just the right amount of sort of energy in any sort of situation. And then if you can't handle something or probably shouldn't be working on it, you can make sure that other people in your life are doing what they need to do. I've mentioned before that this is important not only for like your personal happiness, but also for the growth of other people. If you're constantly doing their job or even enabling them to not work as hard as they should, then they're never going to grow the way they should. So a lot of times if you are just a really hard worker at work, or you're a parent and you want to make it overly easy for someone in your life, whether it's your partner or your child, this is saying, let them pick up the slack a little this month. It's going to be super important. So friendships, coworker relationships, and especially love interests or family members, all of these different types of relationships are going to be pulling at you. Do what you need to do and then let them do what they need to do. So as I said, it's not sustainable to do everything all of the time, or to please everyone all of the time. If you're doing what you should be doing, it's actually expected at certain points that you could create some friction or some movement where people might pull back, because that's part of growth and part of managing and teaching, and even being sort of someone there that's as a support person. You need to be able to tell the truth and push someone in the right direction. So I want you to also feel free to lean on your friends, family, and coworkers for assistance this month. You're doing so much. You're a wonderful person that works really hard. You should be able to ask for assistance as well. And that's sometimes the hardest thing, right? Just to say, I need some help, or I'm tired, or could I get a second set of eyes on this, etc. But I feel that that's a sign of health and strength for all of you. So don't be afraid to go there, okay? Let's go on to a very specific message, two sets of specific messages, but I think they're important. So for some of you, because of this sense of I'm doing so much, I feel like you might be at a point where you're getting, maybe you've already made a separation or an estrangement or a move, but if you have you ever noticed that sometimes it's even more apparent if you have like a friend and they're married and you really like their partner, but during the split, you have to make a choice sometimes, right? And it's like, gosh, but I really liked hanging out with that other person too. What might happen is you could be that other person in this sort of situation, or you may decide that you still need to be friends with both of them. And so what I saw was, if there was a split, maybe you quit a job, divorced, or you just had an estrangement between a friendship where there were two distinct groups. What I saw was one person coming back and sort of showing that the friendship was still existing even after the split. So there's more than mutual friendship kind of coming through, where you could actually have another close friend. It could also be forgiveness or a second chance as well. But what I liked is that it felt like it was failure, and then all of a sudden I saw this great energy coming in, and it was kind of a confirmation that it wasn't all for nothing, that you're actually having something to hold and to appreciate after you lost something significant. So hold some space. It may take time. Things like that are messy, right? Whether, again, it's quitting a job, breaking up, or there's been a fight in a group of friends. You don't necessarily have to take sides in this. I just saw someone giving another person a hug, and I get that. And I got that whole picture in my head that there was some sort of a separation, and they were just saying, I support you, I love you. We don't have to talk about that, okay? So just hold some space and keep an eye on your life and see if there's anyone that feels isolated, especially if they've had to sort of separate or move on or go their own way. Overall, I was getting a really big desire for a change, and for some of you, either a physical move or a separation. So first things first, I'll just hold this up. For those of you that have split or had a separation, there's a chance for a friendship to reemerge from that. And then also, even if you haven't had that split, we may be getting ahead of things, and there may just be a desire to move on, or have some sort of a shift in your life this month. So if that's happening, I think that this is a really good time to look at what's available, talk to some people around you, and start to make the change happen. It may not all happen in the month of August, but it's a good time to start the sort of the wheel of fortune to move in the right direction. The next piece is very, very specific. I'm going to put on my glasses because there's a smaller card here, and I want to make sure that I see everything. The highlights of this is I really want to make sure that this month you are checking assumptions, particularly when it comes to a feeling that you may not be appreciated or understood. What I intuited from what I was seeing is that key pieces of communication may be intentionally left out, or the person may just not be thinking about it. I think this is in particular for those of you that might be working, because I got a feeling that some of you may have this sense of being underappreciated. Maybe you've even been talked into doing something where it doesn't feel authentic, or it feels like you've been taking a step down, or you've been working too long in this one position and now it's time for a change. Make sure you talk to your boss, because what I was seeing was there was a larger plan. This was either a pressure test to see how long you would keep doing that work. It was an immersion to allow you to see how the sort of production was before you would step up, or it's just a chance to say, hey, we need to talk about this. And I believe that they'll be open to keeping you. So it all depends on how you communicate that. In relationships, the same thing applies. There's a larger plan or thing that's going on that hasn't been communicated. So there's a lot here. The main thing that I would say here is if you feel overlooked or if you feel like you're doing something that just doesn't resonate with you, have a talk with the person that is your boss or your mentor and say, you know, I took this, maybe even it was just because of that relationship that you had with them and you trusted them, but you're feeling like right now you're being left out a little bit. So you have a chance to clear up any of this. Sometimes when we infer things or assume things, we don't have all of the pieces of the puzzle. This is giving you a chance to really fill in those missing pieces and get a big picture. I felt like the person that you would be talking to wouldn't sort of have a knee-jerk reaction. It would sort of be like, oh, I thought you knew this is what this is about. You may still not want to be there after all of that, but you'll have a better understanding and you won't feel like this was a sort of a personal assault or that they were leaving you out in the cold. Clarification is really, really important this month. The next piece is really about how you can survive all this stuff that's going on. And I think some of you are just overdue for some rest, some relaxation, some personal sort of recharging of your batteries. So that's the next piece that came through, was to rest, to recharge. And most importantly, if you're the kind of person that used to do everything, when you start to pull back, people may still be like texting, calling, emailing you. Don't let them impede or take advantage of the time that you should be spending resting, because that is really a boundary issue. And it's also kind of a reciprocity thing where maybe you've been doing so much for so long, they got used to it. And now you've got to sort of reset the expectations that that was not something that is sustainable in the long run, or they need to pay you more or give you a better title. And that was what we talked about a little bit. You could just say, I think you assume that this is easier, that I've been doing this just because I want to, but this is a lot of work. We need some help. I talked in other signs about that, where sometimes you have to let things go a little bit in order to show sometimes how much of a difference you're making. So pull back a little bit and take care of yourself, especially on the rest side. I think that's going to be key to your creativity and also just your general health. And with like the pandemic that's going on and everything, I don't think you can afford to have that. You can't afford to have your health take a hit this month. In order to change or to grow in your career, I feel like some of you, especially if you've had that conversation and you're still not feeling that it's the right place, there may be a move, a transfer, or some additional travel that you're going to have to do eventually for your job. And whether that means like looking out of state or out of the country to find this opportunity, that could be part of it. Or after you have a conversation with a superior, this could also be about the only way to grow is to maybe work in another office or do some more travel. If you are not working, let's say you are in school or you are retired, the two things, actually everything that we've talked about here still applies, because you're probably going to need to rest and recharge. You could still be like a matriarch or patriarch where there's a lot that you're doing and you need to sort of like conserve your energy. There could be some conversations that require more digging in to understand that, you know, maybe you're making some assumptions that don't need to be made. So just make sure that all of that's happening. And also for your own personal growth, maybe it's time for a change of location. Where you're living, or maybe you want to travel a little bit once the restrictions are taken down. So I still see the need to move, to discuss, and to set limits no matter what stage of life you're in. And for school, this could be the same thing. You might decide to go to a different institution because what you were originally signing up for, you're not getting it. Especially now with remote learning, it's changing how much we want to spend, where we want to go. So you may decide to go to a different college because of that. No matter what stage of life you're in as well, I think it's super important to focus on your financial skills. Budgeting and planning in particular, it's not a lot of fun, but that was one of the final messages that my guides were whispering to me, was like, take a look at your checkbook. No one uses those anymore. Take a look at your online balance and make sure that everything is making sense and you're accounting for it. The last two pieces are interesting. This one is very, very specific, and I think it goes to the communication piece that we were talking about, and that was to avoid unnecessary litigation. It would be so much better to either be able to settle it out of court or face-to-face, or just to find a way that doesn't involve lawyers. If you can just agree and finish up that contract, that would be great. I saw that it could cost more in time, energy, and money than you would gain. It would possibly just be a wash, or it would be frustrating. If you've already engaged in some sort of litigation, I think the important thing here is to, again, have open communication, not miss any pieces of the puzzle, and still try to have an open dialogue, because there might be a chance to resolve it sooner than later if those communication lines are open. Sometimes the other partner doesn't always want to do that, but if they can, that's a good thing. If you can get through the challenges of this month, you can survive anything. This was particularly true for those of you that might be going through that separation, or might be really, really tired, or might be kind of going through that difficult work situation. Sometimes it feels like this big mountain is on top of you, but what I'm seeing is that this is really a chance for you to grow a thicker skin, to kind of get stronger. And I believe that at the end of all of this, you're going to be able to sort out who you love, who's your friends, what opportunities are important, and it just gives you really nice clarity, okay? So some very, very specific messages for you. We're going to go into the Celtic Cross now and see how this plays out over the month of August. If you're watching it live, as we look at the past and the deep past, there'll be some messages that also apply for the live reading. So let me get all of these cards kind of collapsed to the top so that there's some room to put the tarot cards in. At this point, I like to remain quiet just so that I can observe what's coming through here on the table, and I'll review everything right after I finish. So thanks for being patient. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being patient as I got everything set up here. Let's begin with your Catalyst card. For me, the Catalyst is a great way for you to connect to all of the messages this month and try to stay on the highest energy. A lot of you might be sort of feeling this higher calling. We have the spiritual quest here, and this deck is all Lord Ganesha, so it hopefully helps us get past any of our blocks or anything that could be holding us back. So for some of you, you're just being called to do something that isn't mundane, or maybe just sort of more of a higher soul path. So especially when we look at the soul path portion of the reading, I'll try to tap into the spiritual quest. It's going to be a little different for all of you. But I do feel that for some of you, if you've been sort of just working a job because it's paying the bills, or sticking in a relationship because, you know, maybe you just needed a place to be, this is saying August is coming through as kind of a lightning rod to open you up, awaken your higher calling, your higher purpose. And as a result, there's some necessary changes that are going to have to take place in order for you to really step into that. So let's see what those changes are. Ultimately, it's a good thing. You're going to sort of find your purpose. That's really what this card is saying. So spiritual quest, all about purpose. I'm not seeing any negative energy in this. It's just really about feeling like you're ready to get on that path. As we go to the center, One of the most important things that I'd like to kind of like push out to all of you Aquarius is, how are you feeling? Are you feeling just a little bit tired or a little bit tapped out, not just energetically, but also just emotionally? Because you have a Page of Cups at the center, but the card is reversed. It's a good card overall. A lot of times when we see the Page of Cups in reverse, it's because you are giving so much, either in physical service, like you're working really hard. Emotionally, you've been helping a lot of people, or you're highly sensitive, because you are. You're air, but you're definitely, you're the water bearer too. You're connected to water. You're definitely emotionally tapped in, and you have the ability to be empathic. All air signs do. You can basically read thoughts sometimes, or kind of like a situation at a first glance. So for some of you, I feel like maybe just too much all the time is on around you. So it's almost like you need to kind of turn everything off a little bit. Some of the noise, some of the desire to fix everything, and be a little bit more discerning and a little bit more focused on when, where, and if you decide to invest. So some of that stuff that I was talking about with accounting could actually connect with your emotional accounting and your spiritual accounting, because there is a cost for all kinds of work that you do. A lot of times after I do this, I have to take a nap at 2 p.m. because it's tiring for me to go through all of this. There's a lot of energy that comes through. So the same thing happens if you're listening to people, like a coworker complaining all day. At some point, you might have to just put headphones on or say, I'm sorry, I need to focus on this right now. Let's talk at lunch. I do care, but I've got to get this done. So you can put some limits up so that that's not going on like a tape recorder the whole day. The other piece to this is to love yourself. We have the Five of Pentacles, which seems to have come up quite a lot this month. I've noticed, Queen of Wands and Five of Pentacles have been all over the place in August. So for you, we've got Five of Pentacles, which, as you can see, it can be a card for siblings, for parents and children, or it can also indicate a distinct moment from your past where there was sort of like a little crack that happened in your confidence or in your soul energy. And so working on self-confidence, believing in yourself, and perhaps healing a moment from the past is going to be really, really important to you. Almost invariably, I would say maybe 3/4 of the time for me, Five of Pentacles has a lot less to do with money than it does to do with self-worth. And of course, self-worth is a magnetic energy. So if you have that sense of self-worth, self-love, and appreciation, you tend to pull in people in your life who share that. If you don't, you tend to pull people into your life who test or confirm some of the fears that you have. So I'd like you to do what you need to do this month to feel better about who you are. So whether that's to talk to somebody, to set some limits, just to practice some positive, affirmative thoughts every day. Like, I love myself and I'm ready for unconditional love in my life. Or I've worked hard to get where I'm at and I'm ready for more abundance in all forms. These are simple mantras that you can start your day off with that will actually, it's sort of like it's like your internal APR. You're going to get more of an investment from that day because you value yourself more. I'm not an economist, obviously. So I'm also not a mathematician, but I like that sort of connection with percentage. How you value yourself, you'll get more back. So think of it in that way and keep working on it daily, and just basically investing more positivity in yourself. There is a chance to heal with parents and children as well. So if you're older and your children have grown up and you've kind of grown apart, there's a chance to reconnect. If you have brothers and sisters, no kids, there's a chance to connect with them. If you have someone in your life that you feel like is a brother or sister, and again, you've kind of pulled apart, this is a chance for healing in all of those intimate relationships. Looking at the deep past, which, as I said, for those watching live, these are things that you might be dealing with. So we have the Moon card in reverse. The Moon card is actually like a blessing. It comes through to help us see our hopes, our fears, our desires. And a lot of times we've been taught to keep all of these things sort of like a secret. And your power, your intuitive power, comes from connecting to that moon energy. So if you really feel strongly about something this month, I think it's important to act upon that. So whether it is, I need to say I love you, or I need to quit, or I need to do better with my health, or whatever it is, there's some intuitive guidance that's coming through that I feel like some of you may be suppressing a little bit, and I want you to honor that. The other thing with the moon is it can be a sneaky card. I don't see the 7 of Swords here, so I feel like it could sometimes just be more you're trying to hide something from yourself, or someone else in your life may not be ready to show all of their true colors, and maybe what you could do is just let them know that it's safe to do so, because we're sometimes afraid of being vulnerable. So showing a little bit more of yourself and encouraging others to do the same, I think can help bring this moon into its heightened state, which is really just creative energy and sort of instinctual energy, and divine connection to your intuitive side. But you have to get through the fear side. You have to get through the inability sometimes to talk about things or to show parts of yourself. So integration is a big theme for you because you have a star card, which is reversed, but the reversal of that is saying, don't be afraid to be who you are. You're beautiful. So I feel like there's just a little bit of internal self-worth that you can work on. And then also once you start to be yourself, people will want to, I think you're going to be calling in a higher sort of spectrum of friends and coworkers and opportunities. Looking at recent past, this is the delegation message that I've got. We've got the 10 of Wands. It's reversed, but a lot of times the 10 of Wands is, we've been taught, I think this was more of a 20th century thing than 21st century, but it was just sort of like, I talked about this before, you know, if you're suffering, then you must be doing something right, like no pain, no gain, or you have to just work. I believe that if you're constantly doing all of that and not giving yourself a chance to be creative, to receive, like I have to sleep to receive the messages that I get for you. So I need a small amount of time to kind of get all of that, whether it's 5 to 8 hours, I need something to receive messages for you, and also to make sure that I can talk intelligently, because if I don't sleep, this doesn't work. So you need to have a little bit of rest so that you can be creative, productive, and healthy. And if you carry on everything too much all the time, or if you're not stepping up, if you're letting someone else, it can kind of go both ways, then it's just not sustainable. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to others. So those limits are super important this month. Now, the 10 of Wands is an exciting card because it's also one of moves. I like that we have like a little kid on this because it's like a new beginning. So for some of you, you may be thinking of traveling, moving, transferring, as I said earlier, or just exploring the options. The 10 of Wands isn't it's coming to the end. Basically, you might have a little bit more to do. If you ever look at the traditional illustration, you see someone going up a hill and you see the destination there. So you're some point on that journey. You may be just having a few more days or a few more months, or it may be the rest of this year. But I want you to be perseverant, like hold true to the vision. Don't let other people pull at your energy. Don't take on so much that you get too tired. Basically, pace yourself a little bit with this too, and you can successfully accomplish whatever you're trying to do with the 10 of Wands. So hopefully that makes sense. Your crowning card is great, and I hope that you can just embrace what would be the upright version of it. Temperance is not going overboard, right? Not getting too angry, not getting too tired, not getting too upset, trying to find a way to sort of stay neutral. The card is reversed, which shows me that this month you're going to be put to the test. And there are moments where you might just want to let everything kind of verbally come out. I think you want to be really careful with that, because when I look at hopes, fears, and possibilities, we have the 10 of Swords. And this is really encouraging you not to say something that you might regret. So one of the most effective things that you can do, you'll see public speakers do it, is just to pause and listen. And so if someone is increasing the sort of the intensity of a communication or keeps firing back and everything, what would be best is to acknowledge that they're upset and to try to set up a time to talk and say, clearly this is upsetting you. Both of us are kind of in a space right now where I don't think we're going to productively be able to get through this. Can I talk to you tonight after we finish this, this, and this? How does tomorrow look? Let's sleep on it. Let's talk with a fresh mind and we'll look at it, and I'll work with you on this. If they're still unreasonable, you might have to get someone else involved in that. But I would try to diffuse it a bit and then stay neutral. And even if they keep yelling at you, just keep taking a deep breath and thinking, at some point you can just say, you don't get to talk like that to me. But otherwise, I feel like this is just an avoidable miscommunication. Remember, I said earlier that there might be a missing piece. So maybe there could be a situation where you are the one that feels like I've got a bone to pick and I have to talk to you about all of this stuff. You could start it off with being sort of like a journalist, inquiring a little bit. And you could say, hey, I have a question about this. I've been doing this for a while. I wanted to understand why this is happening. Can you walk me through how this happened? And give them a chance to articulate and say, am I missing something? Is there something else that's going on or something else that I need to look at? And if they can't explain themselves, that's when you can decide how you want to handle that. So ask first, listen as much as you can, diffuse if possible, try to give yourself a little space between the time and even a little bit of space to prepare too. Say, that's a good question. I have to do some research. I don't know it off the top of my head. We're not used to people saying, I don't know. In this environment, like a lot of times people just fake it or try to pretend like they know everything. Good leaders will say, you know what, that's excellent. Let me look into it. I need some time. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Can I have a day or two? I want to make sure that I get you the right answer and that I give you as much support as possible. If you answer like that, it's hard for the person to say, no, I don't want the support. So it's all in the words that you choose this month. You're very strong, Aquarius. So I know you can do it. And I think that that's going to be the challenge, is just how do I assemble my words? That being said, you're going to have a busy month. If you felt like you were bored or kind of plateauing a little bit, I have the Four of Swords in reverse. So for some of you, it's just showing that things are picking up quite a bit. For the rest of you, it might mean that you're feeling like, I got to start to do something. So if you have some free time on your hand, either because you're retired or because you're out of work or because you're just waiting for the next thing to start up, make sure that you are productive with that time. Do something for yourself. It would be great if there's a rest component to it, if it's sort of fun, if there's a playful element to it, because that was something that I was picking up on earlier, is just that need to sort of replenish. So if you can do that, great. But if you need something to just occupy your mind and energy, find some sort of an activity. Even physical exercise would be a really positive way to get things going in the right direction. You have a really great ability this month. We're looking at the Soul card here to come up with new ideas. So if you're stuck, then I feel like you can get unstuck this month just by taking a deep breath, thinking of the first thing that comes to mind and giving it a little bit of time and energy. So this is a really good month for personal development. It's a great time for ideation, for brainstorming. And I want you to put a little bit of investment in that. It'd be great if we could meet this ace with like the Ace of Pentacles, time and energy. Again, I think the one thing that could be holding you back a little bit is your emotional happiness and just general state of mind. So if there's a lot of people pulling at you this month, the boundaries that we talked about are important. When I get two of the same suit, it can also show a relationship. So we have a King of Cups and a Page of Cups. And so there's a big gap in maturity and age with this. That's a theme I've been seeing a little bit of in August as well. And I do think that part of what we're seeing over the course of this next month is a chance to teach, to give back, a chance to mentor. Teaching is a big thing that we're seeing a lot in the news right now. So some of you are playing that role, right, as parent and teacher. And so take care of yourself, and especially for those of you that are helping your kids work and learn. You're working from home and they're learning from home. Try to be as kind as you can. It's so easy if you have a Zoom call and all of a sudden the kid comes in the room to just lose your temper. Don't. Everybody's going through this. Your kid can't help it. This is just an unusual time. I think setting up those boundaries is going to be important. Maybe there's an office where the door is shut. That's your time. And and then you take lunches together. You have to kind of work this out. And for those of you that are working from home, the same thing exists. Like, I live in a city. You hear city sounds and things like that. I don't freak out when that happens. I just keep going. So you're going to find a new norm. And I know a lot of people are losing patience and losing temper over this. It's a temporary thing that we're going through, but it is a change of how we're learning, working, and also kind of connecting with each other. Can we all just be more patient with one another? Not fight with one another as much, and find a way to just diffuse, again, some of those arguments. I think for you, it comes down to self-care as well. So if you're in a better place emotionally and energetically, it's all going to work out for you. And you'll be able to just kind of laugh it off. I'm thinking there's a viral clip, if you want to laugh, of I don't know if I think it was on CNN. It was this scientist and his little girl came in on one of those things. Actually, I think there were two little kids and he kept talking, but it was ridiculous. And then the wife freaked out and all this, and he just kept going. And then they laughed a little bit later. Listen, a lot of us are doing it. It's happening on TV. It's happening to everybody. Just laugh it off a little bit. Don't freak out and keep on going. The show has to go on, right? All right. Finally, and most importantly, and I think what's all been leading up to this for you, Aquarius, we have the star card, which this is my favorite card. I say it all the time, but I think that when it comes through in the final card in the outcome, this is setting you up so that you can really be yourself. A lot of what's been happening over the course of this year has been disconcerting and uncomfortable for all of us. But in a large way, it's also been a chance for us to figure things out. I was talking actually last night with a friend and she said, I'm so happy. Like, it sounds weird, but I'm really grateful for the fact that I had some time off or some time to work from home because it helped me figure out like what was important. I think a lot of us have figured out if we want to stay in a relationship or leave a relationship, stay in a job or leave a job, if we've been taking care of ourselves properly. And for you, the star is to get into that higher energy. The reversal of this is basically saying you've been spending some time either over the past few months, or you might be tested in August, in trying to please others and either put your light on the dimmer switch on mute, or change who you are to try to get that acceptance. And when you're a kid, that's expected and sometimes even forced upon you. As an adult, though, you've learned what you've needed to learn, and now it's your chance to kind of step into your light, step into your power. We have a couple of stars here. Actually, it's leading into the North Star that we see here for your soul. So I really do feel with all this star energy for you this month, and also the spiritual quest. Some of you have just finally come to a fork in the road where you understand that maybe, time on this planet is finite. We have many, many lifetimes, but this is your lifetime to learn, to live, and to exist as this soul. Make it count. Do something you care about. Stop worrying about rejection from others. Who cares? When I started doing what I'm doing right now, I didn't initially use my full name. And then finally, I'm like, no, I have to integrate. And I'm proud of what I do. And I don't care if people don't like it. To me, that was a powerful moment. It's a form of coming out, and it's a form of telling people, you are free to think what you want, but I don't have any problems with who I am. And if you have a problem, that speaks more about you than it does about me. If you can get to that space this month, you're going to find your power. And it's a good place to be because there's no more apologies. There's no more hiding. It's just like, take it or leave it. I'm not doing anything to get in your way. So if you're focusing on me, maybe you should turn the lens back on you. So that's what I think you could start to kind of feel about yourself. Be happy with who you are. Step into the goals and the path that you feel passionate about doing, being, embodying, and let bygones be bygones. If there's anyone in your life that can't support that, they really weren't there anyway. And you may be surprised, someone could come around. That's what I saw in the channeled message. So there could be someone who initially doesn't get it, but months later is like, hey, I've thought about this, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So be yourself. That's the most powerful you can be. All right, let me take a drink, then we're going to look at the expanded forecast. All right, health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each one of these is multi-part. The more that I've started reading, as we start with the health card, the less that it's just about physical stuff. I'll go into that based on what I'm seeing, like 5 and 10 of swords tell me a lot, but I want to talk about the spiritual stuff first. So we have the North Star here, and it says, flip your inner light switch, which was what I was talking about, and I couldn't read it until I pulled it up. So yeah, this is your chance to really go into that higher light. And I think we have been taught in the past, like there was actually a time when children were supposed to be seen and not heard, or when the whole purpose was not to cause too much of a ruckus, to just sort of blend in. And I think what I'd like to have everybody do is celebrate your diversity. It's not about, we can't have everybody taking center stage all the time, but I believe just like a constellation, we can all be shining, and you can choose where you want to gaze. None of us have to mute our light to have that beautiful, Milky Way, a galaxy. As you're looking at the arm of the Milky Way, it's so beautiful. It doesn't matter that there's a ton of stars there. Wouldn't it be sad if there was just one? So there's room for a galaxy of stars. You're one of those stars. Don't hold back your light. You'll call in the proper people. Whenever I think of stars, I think of the gravity. Our whole solar system, all the way out beyond even Pluto. There's asteroids and things that have weird elliptical orbits, but like so many, like millions of miles out there, the sun is holding this whole thing together, which is amazing. So if you can embody the energy of a star and think to yourself, I'm strong, I'm resplendent, I understand what I want to do, and I'm going to start to call in the right kind of connections, the right kind of friendships. I'm not going to hide who I am anymore. So for some of you, it could be a literal coming out. Maybe you're gay and you need to express who you are. Maybe you need to change your job and your family's not going to support it. Maybe you love someone and you just don't have the approval or support of your family. Whatever it is, it kind of does go to soul purpose and passion. But if it's truly you and it's truly something of love, of light, and of happiness, the people who can't celebrate it are not of the light completely. They're diminishing your light or your ability to shine. So this month, I want you to be happy. I want you to be supportive of yourself and others, and you should shine and others should shine. Also, we've got 2 stars here. There is a chance this month that you could call in a higher relationship, a best friend, a lover, or you could deepen a relationship. I talked about that person coming back. Maybe it was a mutual friend and you just decide, like, I really liked hanging out with you and I missed hanging out with you. Why don't we just do that? Who cares if we don't know that other person? That other person's not in the mix anymore. Some of my best friends here and now, they're like 3 times removed from the original friendships. So it would be like a friend of a friend of a friend. And for whatever reason, we're really great friends. And I lost track with all the other ones. So anyway, be your own North Star, be your star this month. By doing that, someone follows, like a North Star is navigation. So someone may be looking up to you, someone may reach out to you, someone may find you because you are who you are. Hopefully that makes sense. You'll be happier and healthier too. Let's go into the more sort of mundane and regular health messages. The 5 of Pentacles. I really want you to pay attention to circulation in your legs. I talk about this a lot. Be careful when you're walking with this, whenever this card comes through. It can also be the emotional weight of being unhappy, because we see that. And remember that you can't control what other people think or what they say. You can only control how you react to that and how much you want to think about those people. Sometimes there's just mean people out there, right? And if we keep holding on to their energy or their words, we elevate them. So don't do that. You might be experiencing pain in your back, and the back, it can be anywhere from the top of your neck to all the way to like your bum. So wherever this is, take care of yourself and make sure that you are sleeping on a bed that's supportive, that you have a good pillow, that your chair is supporting you in the way that it needs to, that you're stretching. And if you have any problems, if you're able to see someone to help you with that, whether it's acupuncture, chiropractic help, or some other doctor, it feels like joints overall might be an area of susceptibility for you this month. Because you're receiving so much and holding so much, that makes a lot of sense. So the better you balance yourself out, the happier your joints are going to be. Okay? Just watch where you're walking. And for some of you, watch what you're carrying and how you're carrying it, because the 10 of Wands and 10 of Swords are absolutely connected, and it has to do with posture and, again, how much you're. For those of you that might even be working out, don't overdo it. Go down half a weight or weight, full, like 5 to 10 or 20. Less is better, and work your way up. Do more reps rather than trying to push more, okay? Again, not a doctor, not a workout specialist, but the cards are saying don't push that. So work with those professionals to figure it out. All right, let's look at your wealth card. Wealth is not just money. In fact, I believe money is actually the end result for the wealth card. This is going at what you need to do to feel good about yourself and to bring in abundance. We have the celebration card also reversed. You got a lot of reversals this month, which I read reversals because it shows if you're accepting the energy or if you're pushing it away. So a lot of this, there's a lot of friction this month with a lot of the messages. So hopefully as we talk about this, the friction eases. All right. So are you having fun in what you're doing for a living? Are you having fun if you're retired with how you spend your time during the day? Because this is a card of happiness and celebration. It would be like the 3 of Cups. So if you're not happy, then I need you to kind of go to what is causing that sense of dissatisfaction. Is it that, as I kind of picked up on earlier, there may be a feeling, there's so much text on this one. There may be a feeling that you are just not being appreciated, that you're not being promoted, that you're not being heard, or is it that you're just doing something you don't like? Because another piece of that dream that I saw was someone that received a call, had a job offer, and they didn't want to take it, but they took it anyway. So there may be some of you out there that are going through that. And so we do that sometimes. Maybe it's a favor to an old boss or friend, or maybe it's because nothing better is on the plate right now. And just remember that just because you're doing it now doesn't mean it's your forever job. I like fantasy books and sci-fi. There's Neil Gaiman did one called Stardust, and there's a movie adaptation of it now. I think it might be on Netflix. There's a cool line in there from one of the supernatural characters. This guy's a shop boy, and she says, just because you work in a shop doesn't mean you're a shop boy. That's what you're doing now. And she could see his better worth, his higher worth, because he was frustrated. He had all these dreams and he was kind of stuck in a small town with small ideas. So if you're in a job where there's people that think in a limited way, if you're in a family where you're not being supported, if you're in one of those remote places where people aren't supporting you, just know that that moment in time, that does not define who you are. Keep tracking towards your star, towards your North Star. That's who you are. And don't give up, and don't let anyone get in the way of doing that. And try to find your happy. Basically, that's what this is about. What makes you happy? How can you get there? And if you're not feeling it, try to find a way to be there. Now, the other piece is, for some of you, you might just be working too hard. Celebrate the little successes. This year in particular, it's sometimes easy to focus on the bad news, because every time you turn on the radio or listen to the news, that's all you're sort of hearing is numbers and statistics and things like that we're not going to get into here, because I want to keep the frequency high. So what you want to focus on instead is, hey, guess what? I actually have saved up this amount of money, or I'm still finishing the degree even though I'm doing it online, or I haven't given up in this relationship, or I've lost 10 pounds, or whatever it is. Focus on the little things that you're doing along the way that are bringing you a sense of accomplishment. And remember that you move the needle forward a little bit each day as well. So if you haven't made any progress, that doesn't mean that you get upset when you hear this. That means that today, do one thing for yourself. And then at the end of the day, thank yourself for getting that done. It's never too late. Today's the day to get it started, but I want you to be happier. Looking at money, we do have the Five of Pentacles. So some of you might be at that break-even point where it's, I like Six of Pentacles for kind of having extra. Five of Pentacles is like month to month. So one thing that you could look at is, are there any places in your life that you can reduce unnecessary expenditures? And I did, even in the channel message, say that there's probably some savings or some options that could come through if you look at your budget. So just put a little bit more discernment in your budget. I bet you can find some areas where you can find some abundance. Work on self-worth. And if you're not getting paid enough, try to find a job where you can get paid more. We're in a weird time in the world, though, and I understand that jobs are limited and opportunities are limited, and there's a lot of competitive sort of energy around certain jobs. So try to get the support that you can as well, because I saw a lot of love and support. Because the Ten of Wands can actually be that. There could be someone around you that could help you. So, okay. That is what we see there for wealth. Let's look at love. And I love this card. This is what I'm seeing, a chance to find that soul partner. So this could be notice how that light that I'm talking about draws in the other person, or shows that they've been there and they've been waiting for you to kind of like show up too. So this could be your month to sort of, for this spiritual quest. It could be to find your tribe, to find that friend or that soul partner that you're looking for. Work on the integration work first, because in order for this beautiful kind of like twin star to come through, binary star, you have to love you. You have to be happy with who you are in your life. If you're going to move on, you need to make that move. You need to avoid unnecessary low frequency conversations or negative thoughts like that. And you can't hide or pull back from what your true path is. If you work on those elements, then that person shows up, or that opportunity shows up. But it's in relationships. I feel like there could be a heightening or an elevation to the energy of some of the friendships. So could be someone coming back again. But once you've done the work on yourself, you're ready for that too. And you're not so dependent on that person. You're both kind of celebrating each other's light. Okay, I like that a lot. As I said, there could be some maturity issues with existing relationships with the Page of Cups and the King of Cups. And your focus there is to inspire, not to do everything for that person, not to play the role of of teacher necessarily, but to try to inspire them. So if we take it out of the role of parent, it could be someone the same age as you even, where they're just kind of like not meeting their full potential, or they're kind of lethargic. So you're there to try to light the fire a little bit, but you can't make them do whatever they need to do. So so be there and show the light, show the way, be your light, be the light for others, but ultimately they've got to do it as well. So we want to find resplendent binary star type energy, not codependent energy. So if that's a codependency that you're feeling, let it go. Finally, just releasing the fear of failure. It says, I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. Failure is a gift. All successful business women and businessmen have had a point in their career where they've had a massive failure, a big mistake, something that just didn't work out. And it's not about that misstep. It's about how did they learn from it? How did they grow from it? And possibly how are they stronger because of it? So everybody's gone through failure. And if you can embrace it as a learning experience and a sort of a chance for you to transmute, it's going to be okay. A fear of failure should never hold you back from trying to do something, because that's the true tragedy, actually, is to never try, I believe. Okay. Let's go ahead and review everything that we've talked about. And then I want to get into the soul path, see if we can dig into the spiritual journey a little bit more, the star cards that have been coming up, and maybe help you figure out what this failure or the fear of failure is. So let me pull these cards down, and we'll take our time because there's a lot of messages here. Okay, so the first piece of advice that I see here is to delegate and prioritize, understanding that it's not sustainable to try to do everything all the time or try to please everyone all the time, because doing that will just basically tap you out a little bit. Lean on your friends and kind of learn how to put those limits up. I think that's going to be really, really important as well. And as you're going through some of these challenges, remember, it's making you stronger, everything. Even if there's a failure, all of this is making you more capable of embracing and surviving other things in your life. All right, the next piece that came through was, if you've had a split or a separation, what's going to happen this month is you have a chance, perhaps, to reconnect with someone that you really cared about in that mutual friend group. And for some of you, if you haven't had that sort of split, there may be a desire at this point to change, to move on. If there's any challenging communications that are going on this month, I really want you to focus on checking the assumptions first. You might be missing a key piece of information, particularly if you felt like your boss isn't understanding you or isn't elevating you to the position that you should be at. See if there's a larger thing that's going on that they can't talk about. Same thing in a relationship. Your partner may be preoccupied with something else, and although they might have overlooked you, it was inadvertent. It wasn't something that was premeditated. Okay, resting and recharging is key. Don't let like a needy boss or even like a parent or a friend call you at all hours of the day and the night. Remind them that when they do that, you're less effective. And it's true. And that's the way you can actually get through to a boss. Say, every time you call me, it makes me a little less effective tomorrow. I need my sleep tonight. Career growth may simply require you to quit, to move on, to transfer, because of some of the stuff that I just talked about there. Before you do any of this, it's really important for you to know what your limits are. Also, are you spending and saving in the best way possible? Look at your finances. Get some help if you need it. Talk to a person that can assist. Finally, try to avoid unnecessary litigation or any sort of arguments this month. It's not going to help you in the way that you think it will. Try to have a face-to-face communication, or get someone to kind of step in and see if they can assist before you go to that level. Higher calling this month. We saw that higher calling, that spiritual quest, in the way of the star, a double star. So that could be you being on your path and also you attracting someone on that high path too, which we see here, twin stars. So it could be a good friend, an advocate, even an agent, something really positive with your energy. Focus on your happiness. Both of the cups cards are reversed. So when we're looking at a relationship, there could just be two people that are having a hard time reciprocating or listening or being there for one another. So whether you're looking for love, in love, or happy and single, I still want you to kind of focus on relationship dynamics this month and making sure that what you're getting, what you're taking, you're basically receiving what you give. And then the Five of Pentacles on top of this could be part of the reason that some of that's happening. Self-respect, self-love, self-acceptance. The Moon card. Don't be afraid to go after what you need to go after. Don't be afraid to reveal pieces of yourself. And if there's something that you need to work on, this is hopes, this is fears, this is possibilities, the same as this is. For some reason, these are very different energies. So some of you are just afraid of kind of facing that. Don't be afraid. It's okay. Once the moon is always coming in to help us see what we need to see. And it's a very gentle, intuitive, divine feminine energy. So once you allow for this sort of realization to happen, anything is possible. Moving up, moving on, not overdoing it. All of the things that we talked about earlier in the channel messages are contained within the 10 of Wands. So delegate, figure out what's next. Again, even looking at your finances and figuring out if I can sell, if I can move, things like that. Try to stay even-tempered this month, especially when it comes to people in your life that could push your buttons. That's the 10 of Swords here. Also, don't let your desire to want to make change happen get you in a situation where you're moving too fast. Four of Swords can sometimes be kind of like the Fool, where you step into something and you're not sure what it is. So just take your time a little bit there. You've got a good idea. I'd like you to put some energy into it this month. Follow through on your goals and your plans. Again, balance out your emotions. Focus on constructive communication. If it has to be critical, it has to be constructive. And then finally, get on your soul path. Don't mute your light. Don't edit yourself unnecessarily, because once you step into that, people are inspired by you. Again, when it comes to health, watch how you're holding your posture and what you're carrying. Watch how you're sleeping. Look at your spine health overall. Also look at joints. Those are the two areas that I'm seeing a lot of susceptibility. Are you happy with what you're doing for a career, for a living, or how you're spending your time, depending if you're a student, if you're working, or if you're retired? If you're not, find something that brings that sense of joy. Also, don't forget to be grateful for the little things. Sometimes we focus on those big ticket items, or those big checklists or bucket items, but it's the little things that matter too. Like I can get up and walk today. I can put food on the table. I have people around me that aren't sick. Or if they're sick, I see them getting better or whatever. You have to celebrate the little tiny things as well as the big things. Relationship harmony is possible once you work on yourself, and you might actually call in someone better this month. So if you have a little bit of a fallout from a separation, I saw a better person coming in or someone from the past, and it deepens. So that's good. Don't be afraid of a failure. This is destiny. Destiny is mutable, and it's changeable, at least in this particular spread, in the expanded forecast. So if you're not afraid of failure, you're not going to invite it in. And if you have some sort of a setback, you're not going to put so much energy into it or assign so much power to it, which I think is important. So let's go ahead now and focus on the soul path, looking at past, present, and future influences. And as I look at the past, I'm looking at kind of what I'm seeing here with the moon, the Five of Pentacles, and the Page of Cups. So I want to go to the emotional side of things and see how we can bring you into a happier place. Ace of Cups, great. All right, and you can see this is kind of a playful spirit animal here too. So I don't know where maybe in the past you weren't allowed or given permission to kind of do what brought you happiness. Sometimes when we're kids, our parents will tell us things like, it's great that you love that, but how are you going to make money at that? Or, you know what they say about people that do that, and then insert something there. These are things that take away our chance to be who we truly want to be. So who cares what people think? Who cares how much money you're going to make? I believe that you need to be able to take care of yourself, but if you're doing something solely for cash, it's never going to fulfill you. And I want you to try to give yourself a chance to go after something that truly inspires you, truly makes you feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing on this planet. So whether it is your job or it's something that you do in addition to your job, I think it's important to go back and to cultivate a passion that you've put on the shelf, either because of a fear of success in that path or because you were told that you shouldn't or couldn't by conservative energy, whether it's a teacher or a parent. This is your chance just to truly have some fun, just like we see this little guy doing here. So have fun, be playful, and get into that energy completely. So, okay. Also, if there was someone in the past that you really wanted to explore a relationship with or just kind of spend some more time with, the Ace of Cups is definitely that too. So nurturing the relationship that matters most, I think, is something that you can do this month too. All right, looking at the present influences, communication and boundaries. I want to look at that for you. And maybe how this can bring you on that spiritual quest, but we're going to focus on the spiritual piece at the end, so hold on. 9 of Pentacles, this is great. This is independence, self-sufficiency, and also patience. I mention all the time, it's not in every single deck. It's not in this one either. But with 9 of Pentacles, my favorite little snail is missing there, which is slow and steady wins the race. And you don't get what you dream about overnight sometimes. It takes a lot of work, a lot of passion and investment and perseverance. And you've got it, because I see the 10 of Wands. So don't give up on something that matters to you. Don't feel like just because it's taken longer than expected that it's not good enough or you're not good enough, because now we see the truth of this. So this is the internal perception, 5 of Pentacles. This is the reality, spiritually and energetically, 9 of Pentacles. So this is strength, independence, abundance. This is a fear of being loved, not having enough, of being rejected. So I want you to step into the more powerful 9 of Pentacles and start to grow this. And notice how you do that. We see this little bird coming in. And what that's telling me is that other people will get that message. They're going to understand, yeah, this person is, they're going to receive. It's kind of like you're sending that satellite message out, and they'll think, yeah, I value you. So I think that's one thing that you can do. And when you have communication this month, if you can also communicate, infer in the words, actually imply in the words, that you value others, but you also have a sense of self-worth, that's going to help too. So you could say, I really appreciate your feedback. I hear what you're saying. And then you can kind of echo what you've heard back. But I also have some things that we need to talk about. We need to find a way to talk and arrive at a sort of compromise that works for both of us. So elevate things, but you recognize their worth, but they have to recognize you. It's a two-way street. I like 9 of Pentacles because it tells me ultimately if there are any limits in your finances or your or what's going on right now, they are something that you can overcome. Okay. Let's go into the future now and take a look at the spiritual quest. What are you being called to do? What's either helping or hindering you from that spiritual quest? Ten of Pentacles. Okay. So for many of you, I mean, I honestly feel like you already have it, but this is seeking a spiritual community, seeking stability. A lot of times this shows like, it can be like a house and a home. It can be a marriage. It can be work. It can be abundance. And for some of you, just want to really have the whole shebang here, everything. And so what I want to tell you with the 10 of Pentacles is, for you, it's important for you to kind of embody what you're seeking, and you will call in that community. But I feel like you're at a point right now where it's less about maintaining. Like, let's imagine it's followers on social media. Let's imagine that you stop worrying about keeping who was there and start attracting sort of if you're stepping into something new, anytime you do this, there's a risk of losing, but there's also a chance of attracting. So if you step into a more powerful energy, just imagine that your universe, your galaxy of stars that you're pulling in is going to be higher and possibly more populous than what you had before. And this happens in real life, right? Because when we're kids, we start off small. We have the family unit, brother, sister, mother, father, whatever. And maybe not always like that. It could be mother, mother, father, father, no siblings, whatever. But you get what I'm saying. Usually small. And then we go a little bit bigger, and it's the school. And then we start to add on to that with friends and family and college and work. This is a point where you might be pulling away from that galaxy and kind of going into a new one or creating a new one. And it's scary because you're afraid, like, if that's not there, am I not defined? No, because you are the star. You will be defined. You will be able to pull in new people. It may be necessary for some of us to create a new orbit or create a new sort of trajectory. And for those of you that want the 10 of Pentacles, what I'm seeing is be what you are trying to attract, embody what it is you're trying to attract, and know that you can call together a new sort of spiritual tribe, and that's more important and perhaps more powerful than keeping the people that were limiting you or holding you back before, because they weren't shining so much. You want the people that are shining with the same sort of luminosity and resplendence that you are. So that's what I see. But by the way, with Ten of Pentacles, what that really portends good things. It can show security in relationships, security in work, and also just a grounded energy overall. So I feel like that's where you're headed if you keep working on some of the stuff that we talked about today. And there was a lot that we talked about today. So hopefully all of these messages resonated. And at this point, I am going to move us into the meditation. I can't believe we're there already. This reading kind of went fast. There was a lot to move through. I think with all the stars here, that's kind of what I want to move on is like, or meditate on, is to kind of bring in a new constellation or something. Imagine that you could be a new star with a new galaxy or something like that. We'll kind of do an astral themed meditation. So let me get my singing bowl out. Before I do that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'd love for you to do that. I notice sometimes I do a video and there's a lot of likes, but no subscribes. So if anybody's new and you like what you see here, it's really helpful if you subscribe. It shows YouTube that this makes a difference. Same thing with the like button. 2 simple clicks do a lot for me, and they don't require any money, any investment. And so I would love it if you could do that. I'd love for you to stick around for this as well, because the sound therapy is really effective at kind of helping with any of the health issues or cognitive things that you might be going through. Okay, so if everybody could relax a little bit. Imagine that you are outside and it's nighttime and you're looking out. I'm kind of gazing out over the ocean and I'm looking at the reflection of the stars on the ocean. And I'm just feeling this just the beauty and the vastness of the world. Before we kind of go into the stars, take a moment to connect with the sand beneath you. Feel that sort of soft, supportive energy, kind of spongy. And if there's anything heavy that you don't want to hold on to on this next part of the journey, I want you to give it to the sand beneath you. You can take your fingers, rub them together, and then create a circle using that energy and see it light up around you, kind of keeping you safe, creating this disc around you. That's almost like it'll be a Vimana, a sort of a star chariot that we're going to use in a second. But see this disc of light beneath you start to light up. And as you breathe, I want you to use your own energy to send away any of the lower frequencies and send them into the sand. And then start to feel that light beneath you starts to spin just in the same direction as your chakras in a clockwise position. And it actually lights up all of your energy as you start to breathe. And what we're creating is, if you ever read an Eastern text, there's this chariot that's called a Vimana, and it's a spinning, glowing chariot of light. So I want you to imagine that you've created it in this disc of energy. You just traced your hands and imagined that it was there, and it was, because thoughts create, and you're like the magician or the high priestess. So you have this spinning disc of energy beneath you, and your soul is going to leave the earth for a little bit. You'll come back when you need it, and your body's here, and you're just relaxing and in a meditative pose. But your soul is going to elevate up on this disc of light towards the stars above you. And I want you to look out at the universe and look at how amazingly vast it is. Once you get out of the layers of pollution, ozone, clouds, etc., and get above the earth, its true sort of grandeur, the galaxy around you is revealed, and the universe beyond this galaxy. And you feel both big and small among all of these sort of stars that are above you. Look back over your shoulder for a second at the planet that you call home. Set a little bit of an anchor there so that you can come home when you're ready, a little bit of a cord. And now just allow yourself to move outward towards a different constellation. For many of you that may have past life recollections of not being from this world, maybe you're going towards a star system that feels like home, or maybe you're just exploring and this is the first time that you've ever thought of being beyond this solar system. Look out there and see a place that feels like it's home, and I want you to allow your star-like energy to drift there. And maybe you're even in a place where there's a lot of material that could be used for building. Maybe there's a star that went supernova, and there's this nebula cloud. And maybe you can go into that nebula cloud and start to shine. And imagine now that you are the great architect. You're going to pull in what you want in your life. More practically speaking, I want you to imagine now that you can pull in things that are satisfying from a career perspective, from a love perspective, that you could pull in things that give you a sense of safety and grounding. And if you just want to have fun in the meditation, imagine that you're creating your own world, your own universe with its own rules, and really own your inner power here, your inner star, okay? And you can maybe look at some of the other stars around you and see if your twin star is out there. Focus on building your light as I play the singing bowl, and we'll come back together here in just a minute afterwards and complete the meditation. Take a deep breath. See your light shining brightly. Look at the creations around you. And feel this sense of divinity that we sometimes forget in our human incarnation. We feel sort of like the denseness of our thoughts in the skin and the energy around us. But when you get out of your body, you realize we were all from that same source energy. We are all expressions of the divine. And we were all stars. We're constituted from that stardust here, and we, at our source and core, we are stars. So you've just found your inner star, and I want you to kind of take a mental picture of what it looks like. What are the planets and the moons and the galaxies? What color of light are you shining? How warm are you burning? Kind of see all of that, hold it in your mind, hold it in your heart and soul, and leave that galaxy up there. That's an expression of you. And now you can follow that cord of light that you created and follow it back. And whether you're going through the Andromeda or Pleiades, or maybe you're going through Orion, or wherever it is that you were from, allow yourself now to find your way back, traveling through that cord, that ribbon, that ray of light, back into your solar plexus this time. So we want to kind of ground you and give you a sense of power in that particular chakra. And feel that as you enter there, it's like a rebirth. That's our connection to our mother. This is a connection to your higher self. This is a connection to the true you. So you're already that twin star, because now you're a star here and you're a star up there in your energy. So recognize that power. Take a deep breath. See your light, your energy, your soul come back into your body. Lock that into place and open your eyes. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed today's meditation and reading. A lot of powerful and actually very specific messages came through in the channel portion. And I feel like there's some really great growth for your sign. And some of that just is about recognizing your worth and not letting other people get in the way or second guess you. So you're brighter than you think, you're stronger than you think, and there's some great things ahead of you. If we just look at those last three cards too, you have the permission and the encouragement to love and be what you love. It's important for you to know that you can sustain on your own. And part of that is by limiting things and kind of stepping in and saying, this is what I want to invest in, this is my power, etc. And then we just called in that universe and that galaxy of light around you. So when you exist in that space, you start to call that same energy in. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. I want to take a few minutes just to kind of tell you how to connect with me, and then we'll wrap up. First of all, for everybody that has been kind enough to do the super chat, thank you so much. And super stickers, I see them coming in right now. You can still do it while I'm talking. It's this little button here. Like I said, I'll reply to my pinned comment after this is on replay. I'm going to talk about a bunch of things. They're all on my website. So if you want the link, it's nicholasashbaugh.com. It's on my main YouTube page. If you go to About, you'll see that listed there. So are all of my social media things too. So if you can't find it, or if you're on mobile, you can just go to the main page and it's there. On most social media platforms, my username is @NicholasAshbaugh. So that's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Patreon. On Instagram and Facebook in particular, I will usually put a story up the day before with a link in it. So it's a great way to be able to figure out where the reading is, set a reminder, etc. So I'd love for you to follow me there. Again, it's @NicholasAshbaugh. If you're not following me there, it's not the right one. Subscribe if you can to YouTube. And Patreon is a way to give back. Like you can, you notice we have some channel members here, anyone with green text. They help me do what I do and buy all the supplies. And same thing with Patreon. And you can do it for as little as $1 there if you'd like to. So thank you to everybody that supported me. The only social media platform that's a little different is Twitter. It's @Ashbaugh. As I said, please like, subscribe, opt into notifications if you'd like to keep in touch. And for those of you that are a little bit more old school, if you want to do a one-time contribution, this is the address. It's paypal.me/NicholasAshbaugh. Again, it's in my About information on YouTube, and it's on my website. And I know that my moderators have been awesome about putting the links out there. So thanks, Maria. Thanks, Ryan. And thank you, Aquarius, for showing up. You have a powerful month ahead, a lot of great things to tap into. And I'm really honored and humbled to have been a part of this. And lots of love from little Apollo, who showed up again here at the end as well. So thank you, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow to wrap up all of the August readings. We'll be doing Pisces, of course. And I can't wait. Until then, take care of yourselves. Be happy. Give yourself permission to grow. And most importantly, be that star that we see here, okay? Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you.